Welcome. This is Mums Like Us, the weekly hangout between myself, Nadine Hill from Juggle Mum, and my partner in crime, Marianne Weeks from Mari's World.
Hello, Nadine. Good to see you again.
It's good to see you too, Mari. And eagle-eyed viewers will notice that we both are displaying pressure cookers at the moment.
My new baby.
Oh, well, do you know, I've actually used mine a couple of times and I'm feeling quite affectionate towards the little thing as well.
I'm in love with mine, yeah.
Today we're doing a Mums Like Us cooking special. The products that I'm going to be talking about is the Tefal Cook For Me pressure cooker. It's actually called an intelligent multi-cooker. So there you go. And what's yours called, Mari?
Mine is also an intelligent multi-cooker. It's called the Fast Slow Pro, and it's a pressure cooker, it's a slow cooker, it's a steamer, it's a searer, it's a sauteer, it's got 100 things you can do. I am loving it, can't tell you. And it's made by a company called Sage, who is backed by Heston Blumenthal in the UK. Well,
old Heston. I've got to say, I love a bit of Heston.
Don't we all?
He's my favourite. I love him. I just think he's awesome. I like the way he combines science.
I've also got my signed book by him here.
Did you meet him then?
He came to a local, what's it called, the Steamer Trade cooking shop. He was in Bluewater, and he was there for the Sage appliances, and I went along, I bought his book and got him to sign it. Yes.
Oh, lovely. Well, anyway, enough about old Heston.
Yes.
Today we're actually talking about the appliances that we're using. So, Mari, you've already started telling us a little bit about yours, the Fast Slow Pro. What is it that's so special about it? What does it do?
Okay, well, I had the last appliance, which was the slow cooker, and I fell in love with it because the Sage one also has the saute option. So basically, you don't get anything else dirty. You can start by sauteing your onions, you can brown your meat, you can do everything, and then you would top it up and carry on with your slow cooking. This is the baby, the new appliance out. What they've added to it is the function of pressure cooker. Now, there was a huge fear of pressure cookers because of, in the past, they've blown up in kitchens and, you know, people have got scalded and everything. So I must admit, the first day I used it, my mum was here and she had bad memories of pressure cookers. And it was also happened to be fireworks night, so all the banging outside, you should have seen her. She jumped out of her skin, bless her. But I can assure you it cooked perfectly. We did that night a huge joint of pork, and we did it in the pressure cooker, and it took about an hour, which cuts down the cooking time considerably. And we'd sort of rolled the joint in lots of herbs and spices, and we'd added a little bit of balsamic vinegar and some honey and some mustard. And of course, because the pressure cooker, the beauty of it is it all stays in there. So it intensifies all the different flavors you put in. And it just melted in your mouth, this roast pork that we did. And that was my first attempt. Now, let me tell you the mistakes I made. One, I didn't weigh the joint, and I just went into the book that came, looked up, this came with it, looked up a similar recipe and said, okay, that'll do, I'll do the same. And when we got it out, it wasn't cooked, so we had to put it back in for a little bit longer. But I think that's more of a teething problem, understanding how long per weight, etc. And since then, I've done a bolognese. I wanted to try a bolognese in there, and I made a lasagna with it, which went down a treat. And the next thing I'm going to do is a roast chicken, a lemony roast chicken. So
sounds very nice. So you've had a few family meals in there.
Yeah.
So it sounds a similar kind of appliance to the one that I have. As you can see behind me, I've put it on display because it's actually quite heavy to hold up. So yeah. I didn't want to risk like getting it in front of the camera and dropping it. So I put it on display back there. But it's the Tefal Cook For Me. And the first dish I made in it, I actually Instagrammed today. It's a leek and bacon risotto. I had it for lunch one day. I actually have Instagrammed it today. If you follow me on Instagram @businessmum, you'll see a picture of it, and I've put today's lunch, and so that's a bit of artistic license. It wasn't actually today's lunch. It was a lunch I had last week. I've later grammed it, but that was something that I created in the Tefal Cook For Me because I wanted to investigate how long it would take. You see, unlike you, Mary, I've never really had any pressure cooker experience before, so I'm not familiar with all the, you know, if there are any negative perceptions of them. So it was quite nice to be able to try this new device that I've never used. I found it very easy to use. Like yours, I can brown the meat within the pot. I can saute onions, things like that. So you're doing all of your cooking in the one pot. I actually did I'll go back to my my bacon and leek risotto in a minute, but another dish that I prepared in it was a beef stew. And in the past, where I would normally put a beef stew in the slow cooker to cook all day when I'm out. Yeah. And so what I would tend to do is brown the meat on the hob and then add it into the slow cooker pot. Well, because I was making it in my Tefal cook for me, I was actually able to brown the meat within the pot and then add all the vegetables and the stock and everything into the same pot. So it's cutting down on your washing up. Yeah. I thought that was quite good.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, so back to my bacon and leek risotto. The thing that confused me, actually, I too have a little book that comes with the cook for me. Right. And inside, it's got I say recipes in it. It's got a list of the ingredients in it, but it doesn't tell you what to do. So let me go, for example, I'll go to my bacon and leek risotto, which I'll hold up here. Yeah. And in it, it's got a list of the ingredients: olive oil, chopped onion, thinly sliced leek, cube smoked bacon, and it goes down the list and it tells you for 2 people, 4 people, or 6 people, what quantities you're going to need. Yeah. So you're going to decide how many you're cooking for and get those quantities ready. And what I actually did, because I wanted to make it for my lunch and I'm the only one here during the day, I made it for 2 people so that I could reheat my portion for the next day. So I got all the ingredients ready, but it doesn't tell me in the book what to do with them. The genius of that is that it's actually programmed into the machine. When you're ready to start cooking, you turn the device and you select recipes. And then you go in and select whether you're choosing a starter, a main, a pudding. And so I clicked main. And then we went on to the actual list of recipes. And there are, I think there's 50 recipes in total pre-programmed into this machine. And I selected bacon and leek risotto. And then you just follow the on-screen instructions.
Oh, that's cool. So did it tell you to saute your onions and your bacon earlier, then to saute the rice and then add the liquid?
Yeah, so what it did was when it said, are you ready to start cooking? So I put yes, and then it went into preheat mode and it started heating up itself. And then it told me to add my oil and then add my bacon. So then I'm browning that off. And then I can't remember the next stage. It might have been add the leeks. I can't remember the actual steps now because I did it last week. But it told me step by step exactly what to put in and when. So I actually had to have everything chopped up and ready.
Oh, I see. Yes, ready to go.
Yeah, well, it was
on the television.
It's like being on the TV. Yeah, it was like being on This Morning. You know, like Gino D'Acampo or something. They have it all ready. And I had it all ready and I just tossed it in when it asked for the various bits. So from one respect, I'd say it's extremely easy to use because it really does guide you step by step through exactly what you need to do. Yeah. But on the other hand, and I don't know what you think about this, Mari, I found it a little odd to embark upon a recipe without actually knowing in advance how long it was going to take.
Yeah, no, this one won't run you through the recipe, but the book has got, this one does risotto too, so let me show you one of Heston's, darling. He has, for example, mushroom and bacon or pumpkin risotto with sage and goat's cheese, some very, very nice choices there. And can you see that he's listed out all of the ingredients and how to? And that is referring, obviously, to this pressure cooker because, like yours, this will saute first, and then you will choose something else, sear, if you've got to do meat. And you can do all of that. I don't know if you can see here. You choose what you want to do first, you see. Saute, sear, steam, and then you press your start button. That's going to go on now. You can reduce as well. That's another really good function. So when you've done your pot roast and you've got all that lovely juice at the end, you can choose the reduced to make the gravy out of it. How cool is that? So that saves, you know, another load of washing up, and you using all the juices from your meat, which is even better.
Nice. Yeah, it is. It's good. I do like these devices and what they're capable of. I actually, I see old Heston there. Photo of him, bless him. I must admit, I actually, the day I did the beef stew, unlike the risotto, when I made sure I was in the house, it was a lunchtime, there was no pressure on my time in terms of kids coming in and nagging me or anything. I was able to just have the time and space to make the recipe, and it worked out lovely. And like I say, I've Instagrammed that picture today if you want to have a look. But when I made the beef stew, it was a really time pressured day, and I like I say, normally I would do that in the slow cooker. I didn't sort myself out that morning. I wanted to test it in the multi-cooker anyway, and I'd just come in from parents' evening. I had 45 minutes before I was out again taking my son to karate, and I just thought I need to get something organized, otherwise we're all going to starve. So that was when I thought, right, come on, Tefal, opened it up, browned off my meat, and then I went into manual mode for that one. There wasn't a recipe for this stew. I just had a bag of casserole vegetables that I'd already bought pre-chopped. I added in my cubed beef, and I was able to select the manual setting on this cook for me.
Oh, okay.
And then so you can do manual settings and you do your own recipes, or you can use the recipes that they've pre-programmed for you. And I did the manual setting, set it off on its journey, and then I went to karate, and by the time we got back, everything had been cooked in the pressure cooker, and it was keeping warm. It immediately switches into keep warm mode.
This does that as well, keep warm mode, which is so handy, especially if you're coming back from school clubs or whatever. There's two things I'd like to add into this conversation, because a traditional risotto you make on the stove, and there's a lot of stirring involved in it. And it was, I mean, although the previous machine did it, and I haven't done one in this yet, but I assume it will be exactly the same, I just want to advise anybody looking in that it does an absolutely perfect risotto, simply because the base moves as it's cooking, so all the rice is being constant, which would be your stirring motion normally, because people tend to think of this as being stable, fixed, and how is my risotto going to, you know, become light and fluffy? It does, it works. And I'm sure your product is exactly the same, and it's because of this motion on the bottom of the pan. And the second thing I'd like to mention while we're on screen is that I've come across a really good book, and I haven't got it here because I've ordered it via an online place, and it should be arriving today or tomorrow. It's a pressure cooker recipe book by a lady called Catherine Phipps, which is Phipps, and it's a very, very, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard so many good reviews about it, and I think it's the perfect step for moving on and gaining more confidence with the pressure cooker side of it, because we know the slow cooker so well now. We've been doing it for years, and risottos, I've got about 4 or 5 on my blog now. So anybody wanting recipes, seafood risotto or mushroom, and there's all sorts on there. But it's the pressure cooker side that's actually really exciting me about this, because it's a brand new method of cooking.
Well, the thing that I liked about it, I have to say, with the beef stew I did, because obviously I did it in so much less time, it was literally whack it all in the multi-cooker on the rushing out to karate. The meat didn't have all day like it normally does to tenderize. So it was in one mode. Yeah, when I got back to it, served it up. I did have to thicken up the sauce, I must admit. You mentioned a learning curve that you experienced with yours. I had something similar. When I was making the beef stock, I wasn't sure, because I wasn't following a recipe, I didn't know how much to put in. I put in a pint. In hindsight, it was too much. It was quite runny, watery. That's my own fault, really. I didn't think it through. My husband was like, well, why didn't you just put in enough to cover and then just... And I was like, yeah, well, I didn't do that, did I? I was running out the door. I panicked. I know. In the end, I ended up, it cooked the meat beautifully, and the meat was nice and tender despite only having had a shorter amount of cooking time. And then I just made up some gravy, and I thickened up the sauce with that. And in the end, it was lovely. So I'd say as well, there is a learning curve.
A really good tip for getting a thick sauce with a stew is I get my cubed meat and I put it in a seasoned flour. So I introduce a lot of tastes and spices into the flour. I'll add a bit of Coleman's mustard powder and cayenne and whatever's in my cupboards, basically. And then with each cube of meat has been coated in the flour, and that helps make a thicker sauce.
Oh, I didn't know that. I will have to give that a go, Mari.
It works every time, and then you've got a lovely thick gravy, and then you've missed that step afterwards of having to make one. So
nice, I like that. Just a quick point, you mentioned about recipes and the fact that you've ordered a book to get more recipes. Because I'd made a couple of dishes in mine and I was intrigued as to what else it could do, I did a bit of a search on the internet, and in fact, it turns out there's a Tefal Cook For Me Facebook group and their recipes. So I'm sure your appliance will have something similar. But there's certainly one for the Tefal Cook For Me, so people who've got one can share the recipe.
Really good. Yeah, we do. I am part of a Facebook online group, and it's by a lovely, lovely blogger. You may have heard of her, Feisty Tappers.
Oh yes, I know her. Yes,
she used to be. I mean, she's still got one running for the Thermomix. She set one up for pressure cookers and all sorts of different pressure cookers. We all go in with our own one. There's lots who've got the iPot, and there's probably some Tefal. But in there, they've got some excellent recipes. And that's called, I can't remember, Pressure Cooking. Pressure Cooking on Facebook. Yeah, by Maria, by Feisty Tappers.
Yes, I will have a look at that.
Yeah, do join it. It's good. There's some good conversations in there.
You definitely want to have more inspiration, don't you? Because like I say, with mine, there are 50 recipes inside. That's quite a lot to have a crack at.
Yeah.
But again, you want a bit of inspiration. But Mari, can I tell you one thing that it's exciting that I did with mine?
Go on then, go on.
Does yours make desserts?
It does, darling, yes. Yes, it does.
I made a creme brulee.
Did you? Wow, that sounds good.
I know. I was really impressed. I love creme brulee. Oh, you see your desserts page. Nice.
Molten cake sounds delicious.
Oh, I've got a molten cake too in mine. Molten chocolate pudding, mine's called.
Yeah, it's the same thing, probably.
Is yours done in ramekins inside?
Let's have a look. Place the trivets. Yeah, molds. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's done in heat-proof ramekins inside.
Dariol molds.
Well, I wanted to make a creme brulee, and I actually went out late one night, especially to buy some double cream.
Right.
I was so excited about doing a creme brulee. And it was, I haven't eaten it yet, I have to say, and I'll tell you why. Because I made the creme brulee, I whisked it all up, very excited about it.
Yeah.
Prep time was about 10 minutes, cooking time was 18 minutes. By the time I'd got it out of the Cook For Me, it then told me on the screen, chill for 3 hours.
Unlucky.
I know. In normal sense would tell you that you need to bake it and then you need to chill it, of course. But I was so excited, and because mine doesn't have instructions, it has a list of ingredients, I didn't think it through. So that's one thing I would say. I would perhaps like it if Tefal could just give us an indication of cooking. I don't need to know step by step because the machine tells me what to do. But I would like them to maybe tell me how long I can expect, because I'm going to have the creme brulee today.
Hey, Instagram it for us. You know, one thing that I've discovered is that you can cook dry pasta in its sauce from scratch and come out with a macaroni cheese. And I like that idea. Now, a guy who's in Maria Feisty Tappers Club community online has sent me through his recipe, and I shall be trying the mac cheese very, very soon. I think the girls would love it. It's perfect for them. Oh, I'm really interested because obviously it must be that motion again at the bottom that keeps it from all sticking together.
Nice. It sounds nice.
In yours, but that's using the pressure cooker. That is
excellent. Well, it definitely sounds like both of our devices are quite handy. I'm thinking with Christmas coming up, it's going to be quite a handy thing to have in the kitchen, isn't it?
Definitely. And beyond. I mean, especially for me, now I'm back to work and 3 days of the week, I'm out of the house first thing in the morning, come back in the evening, and I can put a slow cooker on if I get up early and, you know, think about it, plug it in, off I go, and dinner's ready in the slow cooker, or I can pressure cook when I get back home. And
yeah,
that just means instead of getting something out of the freezer, I can actually do something from scratch, a nice healthy meal, and know it's on the table in time.
Exactly. I know. Well, that's the thing that I've been impressed with as well with it, because the night of the beef stew, which I mentioned, coming in from parents' evening, rushing out to karate, normally had I not had this, I'd have just thought, oh, do you know what? Let's go and get fish and chips, or let's put on something out the freezer. You know, you just lose it, you know, because you're so busy. Yeah. But I thought, no, I'm going to stick with it. And I did it, and I was really impressed with myself and getting it on the table, and everybody enjoyed the meal, so it was fabulous. So I'm glad that we've both done well. So once again, Mary, what's yours called?
Mine's called the Fast Slow Pro, and it's by a company called Sage, S-A-G-E, which is fronted by Heston Blumenthal. And I must say, it comes with one accessory, which is the steamer basket as well. So you can even put vegetables in there. See? There you go.
And I've got my steamer basket too. Absolutely. And mine is the Tefal Cook for Me. And that's you can get that online, various retailers. So that's been brilliant. It's great to hear about your experience, Mari. And we're going to have another catch up at another stage and find out what else we've been doing.
Yes, that would be really good.
Excellent. Well, thanks for tuning in to Mums Like Us. Do join us next time. But for now, that was Marianne Weeks from Mari's World, and I'm Nadine from Juggle Mum. Thanks for watching.
Bye.